I remember growing up with my mom, and me and my mom didn't get along real good. Because of the way I was punished, I would have bruises, and I couldn't go to school the next day. She'd write a note that say, please excuse Ron for falling off the treehouse, and I didn't fall off anything. Not just physically, but the words she would use just cut to my heart, made me feel that big, like a nothing. I remember one time I was 13, I remember it as clear as yesterday, my mom said to me, why don't you do me a favor and kill yourself? I used to tell my dad, I hate that woman, I hate her. My dad would say, now son, she is your mother. I said, she's not my mother. I don't care if I ever see her again. And no matter how mad I got at her, it didn't make me hurt any less. So I'm about 15 and a half. My stepfather calls up, who's still married to my mom, says, hey, I'm getting a divorce, and talked to my father. And I went up and testified against my mom and told the judge all the things that she ever did to me and my brothers and sisters. She got all of her children taken away from her. She went to move all by herself to another town. I said, good, that's what you get. That's what you deserve. You messed up my life. You wrecked it. How does it feel? And no matter how much I saw her hurt, it didn't make me hurt any less. Because unforgiveness is like cancer inside you. And the more you don't forgive, the more anger you have, the more it just rips you apart. It's a weight that gets heavier and heavier. Some people live with this for years, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. They're just so full of hate and anger, and it wrecks their life. It doesn't wreck the person who you're mad at, it wrecks your life. A few months later, I'm 16 years old. I could totally turn on to Jesus. I'm loving him with all my heart. I'm reading my Bible, and after a couple months, I feel this gentle tap on my shoulder from the Lord. Yes, Lord. He says, what about your mom? I said, what about my mom? He says, you need to forgive her. I said, forgive her? She doesn't deserve me to forgive her. The Lord said, yeah, well, Ron, you didn't really deserve me to forgive you, I said, oh. But Lord, what about the time she did this to me? What about the time she said this to me? And what about this time? And I recounted all the worst memories of my life. I just began to cry, and Lord heard me out. Then he said, listen, Ron, I never wanted all those bad things to happen to you. I said, Ron, I'm not in charge of the bad things that happen in this world. People have their own free will. And I was right there, and I would have helped you if you would have called out to me. He says, but Ron, you know what? Your mom, she had a pretty messed up childhood herself, and I didn't really know anything about my mom's childhood. And she didn't really understand what she was doing. She's hurting herself. And you need to forgive your mom. And you need to actually ask her to forgive you, because you know you weren't an angel. You did some pretty rotten things yourself. So then I'm trying to figure out how to forgive her. So I prayed. I said, okay, Lord, I forgive her. And then about a week later, I'd remember something about my childhood. I'd get mad again. I'd get mad. And then I'd say, God, I need to forgive her. And I would forgive her again. And then I'd remember something else, and I'd get mad again. And I kept going back and forth. And finally, I found out that I needed to find forgiveness scriptures from God's word and put them down into my heart. And what happened is I began to memorize and meditate on forgiveness scriptures. I can remember exactly what happened to me, but it doesn't sting anymore. It doesn't hurt. Because that's what happens when God truly puts forgiveness in your heart. And I remember one day I'm praying for my mom, and I'm praying for her, and I was just going, God, touch her life. I love her. And I stopped. I go, I love her? No way. I love my mom. I've never said that. I can never remember saying I love you to my mom, except when I was just a small child, when I really meant it. She used to tell me when growing up, she'd say, tell your mother you love her. And I would have to say it. I was afraid of what would happen to me. But it certainly didn't mean it. And now I'm praying for her. God, I love her. It's a miracle. You put love in my heart. I couldn't believe it. And so I thought, I've got to let her know. I hadn't seen her since the courtroom, and I called her up. Mom, I want you to know that I love you, and I'm a Christian now, and I forgave you for all the bad things you ever did for me. My mom listened to that and said, you what? Click, and she hung up on me. And so she wouldn't talk to me. I'd call her, she'd hang up as soon as she heard my voice. I'd call her again, same thing again, never take my call. I'd write her a letter, tell her how much I love her and how much God loved her. She wouldn't even open my letter. She would just return to sender, send them back to me. After 13 years of praying for my mom, not only did she get saved, she got totally, massively born again, set free, on fire, loving God, in a great church. And probably after she was a Christian for, 6, 7 years, she came to me. She goes, Ron, I am so sorry for how I treated you when you were growing up. And I said, Mom, you know what? I forgave you a long time ago. It's gone.